Peace, fam. It's your brother Cool. Happy 420. I want to start these fireworks off with a shebang. Going to my trusty book. It's never too early for some civics. So let's get into this. So last week I completed my first full trust establishment. Created a foreign trust, okay, an indigenous trust for my first tribal member, Mikhail, and it went very smoothly. We went down to the county auditor's office, the recorder's office, okay. Of course, in order to show that you're not within the jurisdiction of the United States, also is to be able or competent enough to create your own documentation to show proof of certain things, like, hey, if this is your car, you have a bill of sale. So I drew up a bill of sale, drew up a grantor's trust, and from this point forward we're going to start getting into trust law and estate law, because that's where the game really is at. It's not even about what your name is. Your nationality does play a role, I will say, because we have the greatest gift and advantage of being indigenous peoples here is that we have rights by blood and soil. Okay, so the power we can exercise here, being home, will not be the same trying to exercise it in any other nation's jurisdiction or sovereign nation. That's not going to cut it. So if you're home and you realize you're home, this is where you can exercise the greatest power, and the greatest power is the state. Okay, so with that being said, drew up all the documentation, drew up the grantor's trust. What else did I draw up? Bill of sale. Okay, transferred over Mikhail's property over to his estate, and of course he's a bit of a daredevil, so he had to give it a try the very next day. So he spent a little bit and allowed himself to get pulled over by a highway pirate, and went smoothly. Okay, that our own documentation sufficed as vehicle registration. Okay, it sufficed as proof of ownership. Okay, it also showed that Mikhail was operating at a majority level of competency, not minority level. Okay, he was the actual owner, human being. The human being was the actual owner, okay, or the beneficiary of his estate, and that car is part of his estate. You know what I'm saying, or that vessel. So, pretty much from what he explained to me, went smoothly. Cop had a very ginger attitude once he went in his vehicle and read the documentation, our own documentation, by the way, once again, and he got off with no ticket. So it wasn't like a big, wasn't a lot of noise made, but it was a silent victory. But with that being said, that is just the first step, preliminary steps into building a sovereign nation. So, are you ready for your estate? And one of the things people have to understand is operating in this corporate fiction. All right, you gotta have your own entity, and you have to own it. Kind of like back in the day in farmers, when they had animals, they'd brand the animals. So in today's day and age, I'm not saying that we should go and brand animals. I'm not supporting that at all. What I'm saying is we need to create our own entities, right? Our own companies, our own estates, our own trusts, and then secure it, all right, as indigenous peoples. Um, your bloodline speaks for you. So being indigenous isn't something that you become. You've always been that. You've never stopped being that. All right, your nature has never changed except for in your mind. So all the power you really do need is already inside you. There's no document or paperwork that's going to give you any type of power. That document and paperwork is only as good as you are, because that documentation and paperwork is a reflection of you, right? Your estate is a reflection of you. So how well you can conduct it as a competent person or human being or individual, that's on you. And when you really own something, you own something. So now let's say, God forbid, one day a car gets towed. That's his private property. And according to the Fourth Amendment, you have a right to due process and just compensation. If your private property is unlawfully taken without a Fourth Amendment, without a warrant signed by a judge, disclosing the location of the search and the reason for the search. Game. So we're going to start with a deed. What is a deed? A formal instrument by which a living person or entity conveys an interest in property, especially real property. Right? So let's look at this. What is a deed of trust? Which is one of the documentations I created from scratch. Right? What is a deed of trust? An instrument by which the owner of certain property conveys it to another to be held in trust for the benefit of someone, thereby creating a trust with the person receiving the property as trustee. You know what I'm saying? In some states, a deed conveying title to real property to a trustee to hold as security until the transferor repays a loan, similar to a mortgage, except that the mortgage is given directly to the creditor to hold, as called trust deed. Alright? So deeds hold a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? They show ownership. You got to be able to create your own deed, right? Because if you're using someone else's deed, you're not really saying anything. You're just saying that you can use someone else's shit, which is a middleman, and get shit done. Now, I'm not saying that it's anything wrong with taking bits and, applying things, making it your own flavor, but like I said, if you don't know, you know what I'm saying? If it's just words on paper to you and it's not in here and in here, that documentation don't mean sugar, okay? Sugar, honey, iced tea don't mean sugar, honey, iced tea. So, when I declared my nationality and proclaimed it, I filed the declaration into the public record at the county court. So let's see what a declaration is. An oral or written assertion, a statement, a formal announcement, declaration of independence, declaration of war, a word used in some jurisdictions for affirmation, an old word for the initial pleading in a case at law, now called a complaint. So, a declaration is known today as a complaint. So it's called playing chess, all right? Because it's not that the United States owns us, they've made a claim that they've owned us, and we've never rebutted the claim. So once we rebut the claim, because the truth has never changed, you know what I'm saying? So once we rebut the claim, and we recognize that in our hearts and our minds that we are of this land, then the game is over. Peace.